Some people say that the Concerto for Orchestra is a gradual journey from darkness to light. But that description is entirely wrong because although the second movement, the game of pairs, offered us a much brighter musical experience, the third movement, Elegia, plunges us into darkness with very little sign of hope. As Bartók's obsession with fourths returns once more, the Hungarian rhythm we met in the flute solo back at the beginning of the first movement reappears, but here it's fully orchestrated and it gains unprecedented power. The next movement is the curiously titled Interrupted Intermezzo. Given that an intermezzo usually describes music inserted between acts of the opera, Bartók's actually labelled the fourth movement the Interrupted Interruption. It begins innocently with an almost primitive sounding melody inspired by Hungarian folk music. It's a typically Eastern European melody made of just 5 pitches, and it dances gracefully through multiple time signatures. No sign of the interruption yet, but 2 minutes later, Bartók starts to show a much lighter and brighter side to his personality. When the interruption finally arrives, Bartók transforms this serious and soul-searching concerto into something much more appropriate for the circus. The big surprise here is that the interrupting melody isn't actually Bartók's. It's a quote from Shostakovich's 7th Symphony. It's given the most zany orchestration, and to my ears, it sounds more like a Looney Tunes cartoon. So why would Bartók do that? There are several theories. Some people say that Bartók was angered by the huge success Shostakovich's Leningrad Symphony was enjoying in the States, so here he literally pokes fun at it. A more credible explanation is that Koussevitzky was a huge fan of that symphony, and Bartók uses the quote as a sign of gratitude for the commission. I think it's important not to forget that this music was written at a time of global crisis. With conflict raging throughout the world, perhaps Bartók is commenting on the stupidity of war. Whatever the reason for the interruption from Shostakovich, the movement concludes on a much more serious note. The finale of the concerto is unlike anything we've heard so far. It's positive, it's uplifting, and it opens with the most spectacular statement, reminiscent of an alpine horn call. This movement truly confirms Bartók's position as a master of orchestration. There are wonderful details to be found in the score, such as cellos strumming their instruments, more like an Eastern European folk band. To melodies which literally zoom past at breakneck speed. Although this music has a 20th century sheen, Bartók uses older musical forms such as fugue and canon in the concerto. Imitative entries play a key role in the structure, literally racing through each orchestral section. The fifth movement appears to promise a happy ending and is a million miles away from the dark opening of the concerto. However, with a triumphant end in sight, Bartók plunges the audience into a moment of sheer terror. The string section plays sul ponticello by bowing very close to the bridge. This creates a terrifying texture that sounds more akin to a horror movie. Bartók's music is a stunning sonic adventure. When you consider how ill he was when he wrote the concerto, this is anything but a requiem for a dying man. The music is dramatic, imaginatively orchestrated, and requires precision and virtuosity from the players on stage. It truly is a concerto for the entire orchestra.